Hi, everyone. Welcome to another episode of the Marketist podcast. My name is Imran Nadir, and I'm the founder of Marketist. Today, we have an special guest for with whom I have been in contact through Reddit and LinkedIn, and now he's on my podcast. I'm joined by Sheldon Poon. He's the founder and CEO of Drive Marketing. It is a Montreal based digital marketing agency known for its data driven approach to Google Ads, Meta Ads, attribution, analytics, and marketing technology. So, we'll explore more about this in this episode, and we'll ask a lot of good questions related to marketing, related to AI, and everything in this episode. Thank you so much, Sheldon, for taking the time out and coming over here.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. We've been circling each other for a bit, so it's finally nice to actually have a chance to chat.
Yeah, exactly. So, in my mind, I thought that we'll be discussing few things about agency growth, lead generation. Specifically, a lot of agencies face problem with that or challenge with that lead generation. And obviously, what do you see as a founder or and as a CEO, the future of agencies, knowing the shift we are seeing because of AI and modern marketing in 2026. So, first of all, for the people who are watching and listening us today, can you tell a bit about yourself and how how did you end up with Drive Marketing? So how it started and everything.
Yeah, sure. Drive marketing kind of started with me and my co-founder. We used to do a lot of freelance work around town in Montreal, and he's a very talented graphic designer. And I was my background is in computer science and emerging technologies. So we were always working together on a lot of web projects where he would handle a lot of the front end stuff, and then I would actually build out the code and do the back end stuff. This is going back over a decade. I think this is like 15 years ago at this point. And at one point, him and I had gotten to just kind of had enough of a footprint in Montreal that we're like, let's actually work together in a more formal way, and let's just let people know that we're working together more officially. And him and I kind of talked, and we kind of just came up with the name Drive Marketing, and we put together the branding, and we put together kind of the website, and then we started telling our existing clients like, hey, like, Vincent and I are working together. We're a team now. We're under Drive Marketing. It started being a little bit awkward because we had created the name and the branding and all that stuff, but we didn't actually have the registered company. We didn't have the bank account. We didn't have anything. So people started asking us like, well, can I just write a check to Drive Marketing? And we had to keep having this awkward conversation where it was being like going back and forth between me and my co-founder. So eventually we went to the bank and we said like, okay, how can we get an actual bank account? And they're like, well, you need a registered company, obviously. So we were young kids. We didn't know any better. Vincent had a couple of contacts. I had a couple of contacts. We talked to lawyers, accountants, everything, got the incorporation done, went to the bank, said, okay, we can get our bank account. Then we realized that because we incorporated, we couldn't just pull money out of the company. We had to keep minutes. We had to do meetings. We had to like put a proper structure in place. So then we set up payroll for ourselves just so that him and I could get ourselves paid. We started getting more and more contracts, and we set up this office here, and we started being able to grow a little bit just organically, just by word of mouth. And then all of a sudden, we needed more people. So then we had the office, we had payroll set up, we just started hiring a couple of people, and then before we knew it, we looked around, we're like, we have a real company. This is what we started by accident. Fast forward today, sadly, Vincent, after a long kind of personal, a journey of personal growth, decided that he didn't want to be managing the client work. He didn't want to be managing people. He didn't want to run a company. So him and I eventually split off. He decided to go a separate way, and he's still a good friend of mine. We still chat. We're still on very good terms. But he decided that the agency thing, the company thing, that wasn't for him, and he wanted to do his freelance thing. I took over the company, continued growing it. Today we focus on data and tech because, like I said, Vincent was the creative brains, and I just didn't have that background. I have more of an engineering mindset, so we pivoted more towards just the pure tech side. And over the years, where I was seeing kind of agency life going, I was seeing kind of the emergence of what today we call vibe coding, all the tools with AI, and I just kind of decided that we're going to do less and less of the development work and focus more and more on the data piece, because with all of these AI algorithms, they're only as good as the data that you use to train it.
Hmm.
So by kind of narrowing in on just very, very clean, very complete data, we found that we were able to train the AI models a lot better than our competitors. And where is that the most useful? Well, it's in the ad space. Up until I'd say 18 months ago, I'd say it was more of a creative exercise to run ads. But today, I think the scales have tipped. And if you look at who's winning in the ad space right now, it's the people who are able to leverage the technology, who understand how these algorithms work and who understand how to train them, mixed in with strategic talent to be able to know how to stay ahead. Because unlike a lot of the other AI spaces, um, you're not looking for kind of the statistical middle, if you were. So again, going back to your question about how AI is impacting agency space, I think in the creative space, in the development space, there's a lot of AI that's being used, because especially in the development space, if you imagine the way that these LLMs work, right? If you imagine the algorithm, they're based on finding the statistical middle. They're trying to give you the most probabilistic, accurate result. So if you were to plot those stats on a graph, you end up with a bell curve.
Hmm.
The LLM's job is to go for statistical middle. That's where it's most accurate. I think that's where it's useful for coding, because I don't want my developers doing stuff that's either on one end or the other of the bell curve. I don't want them doing super experimental stuff or stuff that really breaks the mold. Most of the stuff that we do, I want it to just work. I just want that statistical middle. So for coding exercise, I think AI is very, very good. But when you're talking about ads, it's a race. So if you imagine a race and you imagine the same bell curve, the people that are in the middle are middle of the pack. When you're running a race, you're not trying to win by being in the middle. You want to be you want to be ahead of the curve. So this is where we use AI a lot to leverage our leverage the data and to train it properly. But at the end, the thing that gives us that X factor is not relying on the AI to do the strategic work. It's relying on human talent backed by years of experience, backed by intuition, and constantly looking to make sure that the AI is moving towards the front of the pack. So I kind
Hmm.
of jammed in a lot there, but that kind of gives you an idea in terms of our thinking, in terms of our history, in terms of how we got to where we are today.
No, thank you so much. You have totally an amazing journey. Obviously, it is. You told your founder story. That is obviously like it is. Most of the cases, most of the businesses do face that kind of relation. Then they go different paths, and this happens. And totally understand what you told about AI. We'll have more in details in coming questions as well. So. Now the main question is what happens like 5 years ago and now. How do you hire people, like knowing that a lot of work can be done using AI, be it in development side or the marketing side? So what has changed, like what is happening in your company? How are you hiring? Like who you hiring on what basis? What has changed like in the past 5 years?
So obviously, the main thing that's changed is the strength of these tools, and the type of thinking that the tools are good at has really shifted. Um, Whereas in the past, we would have been looking at what is your ability to come up with answers, right? Today, with all of these LLM tools, the answers don't hold as much weight. If all you can do is give me answers, that doesn't help me, because I have tons of tools that can give me answers. What we're looking for today, and I was talking about this with my head of operations just the other day, is that what we're seeing with our interns that are coming in is they're struggling when it comes to asking the smart question. So no longer is it about the answer; it's now about the question. It's about critical thinking. It's about what is the question, what is the smartest question that you can ask right now that other people haven't thought to ask. And that's a difficult thing, because that critical thinking requires a bit of experience, requires a bit of wisdom, and that's hard to ask of a junior candidate when they're just coming fresh out of school. They don't have any work experience. So this is a struggle that we're having right now, is like, how do we look for students who have been trained not to find answers, but trained to find questions? And what we're noticing actually is that we're having a lot more luck with students that are not coming from a traditional tech or marketing or business background. We we recently hired on a junior copywriter, and he's studying English literature. I myself have studied philosophy at university, and I've been thinking like maybe we should explore to see if we can find some philosophy students to see if they might be a better fit. We're always looking now for maybe candidates that for XYZ reason they're restarting their careers, but maybe they're not a 20-year-old kid, maybe they're in their 30s or 40s and they're looking for something new and interesting. They may not have the technical skills, but they have life experience and they have a different perspective that makes them ask different and more interesting questions. So it's really challenging for us to kind of figure out how do we kind of stay ahead in such a way that when as these AI tools become commoditized, everybody has access to them. Being able to say that I know how to use a pencil doesn't help you. It's the quality of the writing that you do, right? So we're approaching the AI tools the same way. When everybody has these AI tools, how do you use them most effectively? And I think what we're seeing is that the best way to use these tools is to come up with questions that other people haven't thought to ask.
Mhm.
So when we're training and we're trying to hire for those skills, that's the thing that's going to keep us ahead, and that's the thing that's going to give us the advantage.
All right. So talking further about AI, because we just touched that topic at the first. So I'm talking specifically in Google Ads, like marketing. How are you using AI? And a lot of people, like, there are different perspectives going on with everybody. Like, a lot of people say Google Ads are no more because agents will be doing Google Ads. A lot of people say SEO will be no more because Google has changed entirely search operation, search behavior, even ChatGPT. How do you see this drastic change, and how are you planning things to do for yourself and for the clients in drive marketing?
Yeah, so I think that when I talk to a lot of other people and they're talking about using AI in ads, they're talking about one of two things generally. They're talking about using AI to generate the creatives, so creating images, creating video. A lot of content agencies are focused on like they have a physical studio, they have physical equipment, they have staff, they're deploying people on site. What happens to them in an age when AI is able to generate stuff that's good enough? So because we're not a content agency, that doesn't really affect us. I wouldn't be the right person to speak to that point. The other thing that I see is a lot of people are using AI agents to go out and log into their Google accounts and their Meta accounts and do the actual ad setup to save a bunch of time and to do automation. And on that front, we've actually refused to go that way for a very specific reason. For one thing, we kind of, if you kept up with the white papers from the Meta's actual development team, they put out like blog articles and white papers every once in a while. So if you were actually to look at what they were saying and the direction that they were moving in, it was very clear that they were not okay with people using agents to set up their ads. And lo and behold, what happened a few weeks ago was that Meta did a massive culling, and anyone who was caught kind of abusing agents to set up their ads got their accounts locked out. We have horror stories on Reddit of people who basically there was a business account that was running. They were using agents to run it. All of a
Mhm.
sudden, their account gets flagged. They get shut down, but the business account still exists, and the ads are still running, and they're still costing them money. And now they're kind of out of control. Nobody has control over it. They're trying to figure out how to regain access to the account. Like all these terrible things because they were using their agents aggressively to set up the ads to save time and now cost them their account. Same thing on the Google side. I think we're seeing a lot of people using agents to go into Google and set up the campaigns. The reason I'm against using the AI to set up the campaigns goes back to what I said earlier. Setting up the campaigns, you have to look at understanding the strategy. You have to look at all these nuanced details. It also, if your person who's leading strategy doesn't understand what's going on, what changes are happening on these platforms, you're going to start seeing more and more of a separation in terms of what's happening on the front lines and what they're coming up with in terms of strategy that works. So I don't want that separation. I want to make sure that our ads team stays on top of the latest changes, has hands-on experience, forces them as part of their learning, as part of their training to continually be going in and putting these things together. The other thing is that I want them doing the strategy work because going back to the idea of the bell curve, I want our strategy to be ahead of the curve. I don't want to be in the middle of the pack when we're trying to run a race. So where I see a lot of people talking is those two things, the content piece, which I can't speak to, and then the agents part, which we push back against. When we use AI in the ad space, we are using the native AI algorithms that have been built into Meta and Google for the last few years. So
Hmm, hmm,
focusing just on Google, right? In Google, when they launched PMax, everybody kind of lost their minds for a minute. PMax was not great, but PMax was Google's AI algorithm, AI kind of bot brain doing this stuff in the back. And when a lot of people are talking about AI today, they're talking about generative AI, but PMax is more of a predictive AI. They're trying
hmm,
to predict who you should be getting in front of. And predictive AI is heavily, heavily based on the data and the information that you're feeding it.
hmm, hmm,
The other thing about the way that PMax is set up, because it's a predictive AI, you don't want to bias it. So the mistake that I see a lot of the time when people are setting up their campaigns is that they're still focused on this idea of like, well, it has to be these keywords, it has to be these interests, it has to be this demographic, it has to be this, that, and the other thing. What they don't realize is that when you're doing that, you're essentially you're biasing the algorithm and you're working against what a predictive algorithm is supposed to be doing.
hmm,
The proper way to use PMax is that you make sure that it has all of its resources. You make sure that it has a very robust content library to work from. It has a lot of video, it has a lot of images, it has a lot of good title content, it has a lot of good descriptors. You make sure that the information that you're feeding it has been checked out, so that if it's saying that you recorded 100,000 in sales, you better check with your CFO to make sure that you're about 90, 80 or 90% accurate. It will never be 100%. That's fine, but make sure that 100 grand in sales reported on Google is not actually 30,000 of sales. Make sure that you're not just installing the default data tracking, but you go a little bit deeper into micro actions. Go beyond just like the standard Google setup, because the standard Google setup, there's a lot of gaps in the data. A lot of these micro actions, they're not being recorded properly. So making sure your data is complete and accurate, making sure that your asset library is complete and has a lot of different variations that represent the top of funnel for attention, interest, desire, call to actions. You put all of that into PMax. What PMax then does is that because it's an AI algorithm, you want it to go very broad. And what will happen is it's going to start taking all your content and mixing and matching and going crazy in terms of A/B testing. And what it's going to do is it's going to put your very broad ads in front of a whole bunch of people, and
hmm,
it's going to start automatically picking the winners and losers. And what happens is it has Google and Meta have all of these data points on all of us. It's going to start finding, like, I don't know who this person is, but whenever we see this pattern in their user data, we see that
hmm,
they interact with this version of your ad. So we're going to take this version of your ad. We're going to find more people with these patterns. Don't know anything about them. Don't know what the math means, but we know that this is the pattern. And we're just going to start matching and creating the groups. And when we go back and we look at, okay, well, let's look at the work that it did. Lo and behold, this message looks like our attention message, and this is our attention group. This looks like our interest message. This is our interest group. And you can see the multiple layers of the funnel being represented in the groups and in the audience and in the data that Google is creating back to you. So when we're using AI, especially with PMax and Advantage Plus, our job is to make sure that we set the AI up with all the tools that it needs to do its job, and then we step out of the way and we let it do its thing, and then we review what it did. And this is something that when I talk to a lot of other agency owners, when I talk to a lot of people who are running ads, it's this piece that I don't tend to see. And I think that's because we have, like I said, I have a computer science background. We have more of an engineering mindset. I think this is something that comes a little bit more naturally to us because we kind of understand the inner mechanics of how things are working. And we know what shortcuts we should be taking with AI. We know what shortcuts we should not be. We know when we need to make sure that AI is not going off the rails,
hmm.
and we know when we have to kind of release it to do its thing a little bit. So I think that's how we're using it a little bit differently than most other agencies.
Amazing. You just explained amazingly. Well, now a lot of people who watch my content are agency owners and mostly freelancers, right? So I would love to talk about your agency and agency growth. So because that is the thing a lot of people, even good agencies face. They don't have like proper pipeline, sales pipeline. They don't have like good clients. So they just try everything and they just end up being confused. They don't know what's coming, what's going. So what is the strategy at Drive Marketing? How do you drive clients to Drive Marketing? like so
Uh,
what exactly are you like following? How do you do that?
That's a really good question. Honestly, it's something that, to be transparent, that we're still struggling with ourselves, and things have changed in the last 12 months because of all of the things that have been happening on the macroeconomic scale, all the things that are happening politically. The world is changing very, very fast, and I'll be honest, we've had a little bit of trouble adapting. Like anyone who follows me on LinkedIn saw a post that I put up, I think like 2 weeks ago, that said, "Watch Sheldon struggle to grow his agency," and this is a challenge because again, this is where I think I have a weakness because I like the tech side, because I like the engineering side of things. I'm not naturally a salesperson. I'm not like a cheerleader for the company, and I've always kind of relied on just by having word of mouth and just by my network, people would just kind of come to me with problems, and then we'd solve them, and then that's how we get more clients. And what I should have been doing this whole time is I should have been focusing on our own branding a little bit more. I should have been focusing on our own attention level outreach. I should have been focusing more on cleaning up our internal funnel. And that's mostly what I've been focusing on for the last few months because with everything that's going on, there's a lot of uncertainty right now in the marketplace.
Mm,
Like if we just call it what it is.
mm,
And what I think a lot of agency owners are experiencing is that the natural kind of organic networking pipeline where people are just kind of coming to you and asking for help and sending you projects, at least on my end, I've seen it kind of slow down quite a bit. So not only has it slowed down, but people are putting off projects because, you know, we're up in Canada, like you said, we're in Montreal.
mm,
A lot of our clients were looking at 2024, going like, okay, we're gonna pull the trigger, we're gonna do that expansion piece into the U.S. We're doing well here. Let's start going into the U.S. market and see what we can do. All of those clients, like one by one, hey, you know what? Everything that's going on, let's hold off for a minute with tariffs and this and that. We're not sure about the numbers anymore. So bit by bit, my organic pipeline dried up because everybody put their projects on hold, which is fair. Like these are uncertain times. Um, with our existing clients, new projects that were supposed to start up got shut down. And everyone that I was talking to, all of a sudden, they were interested, but it's like, yeah, but let's hold off. So our organic pipeline kind of came to a halt. And what I've been trying recently, and it's still like entirely unclear whether or not this is working, but doing more calls, more podcasts, more networking, just to kind of get the word out about our company. I've worked on quite a lot with my team to really make it clear what it is that we're offering, what it is that we're doing for our clients. Really trying to zone in on the pain points, get our messaging down, so that when we do advertising for ourselves, when we're doing outreach for ourselves, there's a lot more clarity in our message. So
mm,
if you go to my LinkedIn profile today, you'll see things like, every dollar that our clients spend, they get at least $8 back. All of our case studies show our return on ad spend. There's a big banner that says our clients don't pay for marketing, because basically, like, the marketing reports that we're giving them, it's like you spent a dollar, for every dollar you spent, you got 11.75 back this month. Cool. This is what we did. This is how we broke it down. This is what we confirmed with your accounting. Uh, it seems to be working. We're going to continue this. We're doing so. It makes it a very easy conversation, and it makes it so that, again, our clients are not paying for marketing. The marketing pays them. So a
mm,
lot of this work went into just cleaning up our messaging, and then now we're at a point where we can put a megaphone to it and start telling people like, "Hey, this is what we're about." bit by bit, we've started seeing people kind of coming out of the woodwork and contacting us. The other thing that we tried for the first time was we went to a trade show in Toronto last week and a half ago, and that was a lot of fun because it was very different to let my guys who are normally on Zoom, who are behind the screen working from home, they were forced to interact with clients for the first time face to face in a very long time. And there's so much interesting conversation that came out of that when we went for dinner after, they're like, oh my God, clients are saying this and this, we need to change this. And just by having that, just by showing that we're showing up, that, we're a real company, these are real people that you're working with, that had a lot of positive response. So to answer your question, right, like what are we doing to actually clean up our pipeline? I'm not entirely sure what's working, what's not, but the first thing is I've done a better job at cheerleading the company, getting our work out there, clarifying what it is that we do, where we bring value, identifying those pain points, going out, talking to people, having real conversations, and just trying to bit by bit figure out, like, okay, what is it that people like about us? How do we make sure that we explain that properly? How do we improve our internal processes? Let the work speak for itself through case studies. Case studies have been huge for us.
Hmm.
And just networking and talking to people, and just trying to put myself out there and not be afraid to be more of a cheerleader and a face for the company.
Now, thank you so much for explaining. Now, I have three questions related to what you said.
Sure.
One, first of all, yeah, like what do you say about content? Like even text content we put on LinkedIn, video content we put on YouTube or any other platform, or even we do Reddit content, like we do a lot. I do a lot myself. And apart from that, like blog content. What do you think about these content types? Like, are you like filling up with that okay, we need to create more content, more and more content, or maybe it will help in our pipeline, or you are just exploring?
So when it comes to content, right? Again, we're taking kind of an algorithmic look at it, and we know you can read up on all this. Like tons of people have reverse engineered this. There's a specific playbook for every single platform, and if you're gonna go through the work of generating content, the main thing about these algorithms is that they want to see consistency. Each one has its own frequency in terms of what it's going to reward. But as long as you're consistent about putting out content and you force yourself to be consistent, the algorithms will naturally kind of reward you. The other thing about content is that we live in a world where people are constantly looking for novel things. So, like, we know that from experience, even within our ads, there's a frequency score. In other words, once you define like a market, once you've defined an audience, how often are they seeing the same ad over and over again? We know that for quite a lot of our ads, the moment we started seeing a frequency of, call it 1.7, 1.8, before it hits 2, right? We need to refresh that ad, because once people start seeing the exact same ad over and over again, they get bored and they move on. Um, what we have to do is make sure that the content is always kind of like new and fresh, but also consistent in a way that the timing is consistent, the branding is consistent, the messaging is consistent, and making sure that you kind of let the algorithms reward you, which is frustrating because we're kind of playing into it, but it is a
Exactly.
necessary evil. When it comes to blogging, I've seen a lot of people now kind of doing the agentic AI thing and just kind of putting out blog articles for sake of blog articles. I saw that work for a little while, but I think all of these, like Google, is obviously catching on to that, and they're starting to de-index those types of pages that they see as kind of AI slop. They don't bring any value. I
Hmm.
think our approach to content is, we're still trying to figure out our footing. Like I said, I'm just being honest, but we're trying to come up with ideas and content that answers real questions, that brings real value to people. So
Hmm.
again, going back to actually forcing my guys to be at a booth and shake hands and talk to people, they got a lot of interesting insight. Oh my God, people are asking for this. And it never occurred to us, because for us, it's like breathing. It's like, oh, they don't know that? Okay, well, yeah, let's put out a piece of content about that. So we're trying to always try to talk to people and start these conversations. We're trying not to do content for the sake of content. We're trying to do content that has a little bit of purpose, that answers some questions, that educates people, and then we're sprinkling in, our wins. We got this ROAS, we won this client, we launched this thing for this person, like trying to again cheerlead the company a little. And then in terms of formatting, I know that video does really really well. That seems to be the thing that's most engaging. And with a video like this, right, we have like we're doing kind of a longer format. You'll be able to cut it into these shorts. Shorts absolutely kill it. If you have interesting shorts, you can build your entire brand just getting people to watch your shorts on YouTube, Instagram, on TikTok.
Yeah, wonderful. There's this guy, I had a podcast as well, Dennis Yu, if you know about him, right? I love his content strategy, right? What he does is he creates like long form content, and he just cut the highlights, okay, then re-upload on YouTube, then cut the shorts and re-upload on YouTube. And what next he does is amazing. He just create a blog and put all the pieces like answers to each, explain like a question, then answer in written, then put the same video in that. That is like, I just saw that and it blew my mind. Because I have a lot of people like you and I have a lot of good content out there, and we are not using at its maximum output, right? So that is one way we could do. Okay, so another question from that previous thing was that a lot of people come to you with the problems, then you offer the solution to them, right? What are the most common problem of your clients, like in related to specifically marketing? What are the
Oh,
common problems that people come to you?
yeah. So like for every industry, right? There is a You can look it up for your industry, and you can see what is a good return on ad spend. And so ecom fashion, for example, right? If you're doing an ecom fashion brand, it's very competitive. A good return on ad spend is 3.65. Every dollar you spend on ads, you should get back $3.65 in revenue, in sales. Um, Once people know that, they come to us and they're like, we are way below that. We're getting like a 1.2x or a 1.4, and we're way below industry standards. If you look at our case studies, we have a fashion ecom case study, and we did the end of year numbers for 2025, and they came in at, I think, 11.87, if I'm not mistaken. So they got back almost $12 for every dollar that they spent on ads because of our work. And that's where we're at. So when people see, okay, this is the industry standard, this is what drive marketing is doing, I'm down here, something's wrong. That's when they come to us and they say like, hey, like something is broken.
Hmm.
So what happens is we trigger an audit, and it's been a few years now where we do just free audits just to help people out, and we just say like, hey, this is what we found, take it, leave it. We'd love to work with you, we'd love your business, but if you want to fix it yourself, this is what you have to do. And we have yet to find a single account that didn't have some big glaring red flag on their data.
Hmm.
And it's just because when you start getting into the data, it's a complex thing that you have to do. You have to make sure that your website, your checkout, how you're reporting back to Google, how you're reporting back to Meta, everything needs to work together. It's very complex to get it working properly with all the different browsers, all the different cell phones, all the new security, all the GDPR and cookie risks and all these things. Stitching together that data is a real challenge, and most people are not experts in it. There's a lot of technical nuance. So the biggest thing that we see, and this is obviously biased because people are coming to us specifically with this problem, but incomplete and inaccurate data 100% is the thing that we see the most. And when you're feeding in bad data into these algorithms, of course your return on ad spend is going to be lower because you're not training the algorithms.
Now, from that, again, from that thing you said, so my third question from that specific thing was, um, what do you see like most of the agencies are making? Like, what are the common mistakes they make? You see on almost daily basis or even like regularly. What are the common mistakes we make, like agency people or agency owners, agencies themselves?
Um, that's a good question. I don't know, man. Like every agency is so different, and even the term agency is so broad, right? A content agency is doing something very, very different from a performance agency like ours. I think when I look at other performance agencies, the thing that I see, maybe not the most often, but one of the things that I don't understand this day and age is how the way that they charge their clients is very strange to me.
Mm.
A lot of ads agencies, they charge a percentage of ad spend, right? We don't. Other agencies charge based on the return on ad spend or the return on revenue. We also don't do that. Like we just charge like a fee for the work up to a certain amount of ad spend where it triggers more work. So we charge based on the work. And the reason that's odd to me is because the other models put you working against your client. So uh, I've heard stories where like an agency that's charging a percentage of ad spend, the clients came to us later and they complained that all they had was every single time they talked to their agency, it was a sales guy that said, "Hey, you got to try this platform. Hey, you got to increase your spend. Hey, you got to increase your spend." And the client was saying like, "Okay, but I'm not making enough money because the leads that you're generating are bad, or
Mm.
you guys are not bringing in the types of sales." And they would point at some random metric and go like, "No, no, but it's working. Look at the top of funnel. Look at your reach. Look at this. You got to spend more money." And what happened is because they were being rewarded based on the amount of money that they were spending, not on the efficiency of the spend, they didn't care if you were making money or not. They cared how much money you were spending on Google and Facebook. So, if anything, these agencies were not working for their clients. They were working for Facebook and Google, whether they realized it or not, because they were making a percentage of ad spend. So, the percentage of ad spend thing makes no sense to me. To me, that's a throwback to a bygone era where the legacy agencies were doing a percentage of the ad spend on television and newspaper networks and radio networks, where that made sense in that era. But in digital marketing, that way of charging clients doesn't make any sense. So that's one of the things that I see. The other one that I see is that other agencies will say, like, we're going to be rewarded based on your sales, based on your revenue, which on paper sounds good. But then what we've seen is that agency owners get frustrated because the client now says, "Oh yeah, okay, so out of this 100 grand of sales, this 20% wasn't you guys. This 30% is not you guys." And now you're fighting with the client saying like, "Okay, but I did this work. I attributed to this." And then
Mm.
they're like, "No, no, but that was because of this other reason." "Oh, and you're only making good numbers on ads because of this work that the designer did." So what ends up happening is that instead of working cohesively as a single unit, as a single team, now you're fighting against their ads guy, you're fighting against their content guy, you're fighting against their brand guy, you're fighting against their sales guys. You've created a scenario where everybody's trying to carve out their piece of the pie to claim ownership so that you can get paid. Uh, and what that does is it creates this adversarial relationship to the client, which doesn't make any sense. I think part of the reason we're able to get the numbers that we get is that we work alongside our client and we work on strategy. It's a very friendly conversation because we're all rowing in the same direction. We're all on the same team. We want our client to make more money. We want them to spend less on ads. We get paid on our work. They get paid for their work. We're all collaborating on strategy. And even the way that we calculate return on ad spend, we are very transparent with our clients and we tell them, out of the 100K, we can associate like this 50 with directly stuff that we did with ads. We know that you guys did this piece. We think that the branding helped here. Can you guys do more of this content for us? Can you guys say this when you're doing organic stuff because it helps with the ad side? And it becomes a team effort. Uh, and that team effort shows in the numbers because everybody wins at that point. So I would
Yeah.
say that when I see other performance agencies, the mistake that they see is that they've set themselves up because of their model to work against their clients' interests. And I think that's weird to me. That doesn't make sense.
Yeah, one more thing I have seen in agencies, like I don't do at my agency, a lot of people do. They just keep the assets of the clients to themselves. That is very strange to me why they do that, and they don't even tell the client that these are your assets. And when I onboard any client, I tell them these are your assets and they are for you for the lifetime till your business
Yeah,
is there, like
yeah.
till life existence. But people do that. Like I don't know how you do that, but they do it like very confidently. Okay, we are doing it and we are right. No, you're not right, and we don't do that. These are the assets of the client, customers. They should be owned by them because they even if they leave you tomorrow, they have to get those because they have to use it in future, right?
That's it.
And
And
a lot
like
of
I think you and I align on that point very
Mm,
strongly in terms of business ethics. It's like they're
mm,
paying you to generate this for them. It is theirs. They paid you for it.
mm. Exactly. So one more thing I would love to know in your agency, like what is the ratio of like remote work and on-site remote employees or team members and on-site team members? What is that ratio right
Um, Before COVID, everybody was expected to come to the office at least once a week because we had a weekly all hands meeting. When COVID started, I myself took public transport, and we didn't know what the spread how it was spreading. So I just jumped on Slack. I told everybody like, let's just go 100% remote until like this thing blows over. Once COVID ended, I was like, okay, you guys want to come back to the office? Everybody was like, no, why would I come back to the office? So today we're just 100% remote. I converted this office into more like a studio space.
now?
It's happened a couple of times now where we had new people going like, hey, can I come by the office? I'm like, not really. There's not even a desk for you, man. Like it would be my desk. Like this isn't gonna work. So today we're 100% remote, and we're quite proud of that because I always tell my team like, guys, you can work from anywhere. Like go on a beach. I don't care. Like I myself, it's beginning of June right now. My family and I are about to take off. We have a house in the Maritimes, and I'm going to spend the summer there and just uh, take it a little bit easy, get away from the city for a bit. And I encourage all my staff to do that. So at this point, we're 100% remote.
So anybody who is watching and wants a remote job, please contact. Okay, wonderful. So as a CEO, and so how does your day look like? What do you do, like from the starting till the end? How do you plan things and everything?
Honestly, every day is different. I my job is to make sure that I kind of I see leadership as my job is to support my team and get the hell out of their way. Give them all the tools they need, give them all the support they need, and then move out of the way so they can do their jobs. I'm very, very lucky to have such a independent and talented team. So my day to day is my management's giving me updates on this is what's going on with this client, this is what's going on with this account, this is what's going on on the back end, this is what's going on with this employee. Hey, this guy's going to be on vacation this week. Just so you know, don't bug him. And I just kind of get updates. After that, my job mostly is to figure out again, how do I cheerlead the team? How do I build that pipeline? How do I figure out the direction of the company by looking up and having conversations to find out what's happening, what's going to happen, what's the political situation, what's the business situation, what's the technology change that's happening that we need to be aware of, what training materials do I need to give to my team. And then I'm dealing with paperwork like HR, accounting, dealing with the
Mm.
government, dealing with our accounting firm, trying to figure out partnerships, trying to do kind of all the other stuff outside of the day to day of the company. Ideally, um, and this is not coming from me. This is my staff telling me this. Ideally, I'm not touching anything to do with clients because I just get in their way.
Mm.
And then when they need stuff, they come to me and say like, "Hey, can I get this? Can I get that?" And it's like, "Yeah, okay. Let me figure out the finances. Let me move some stuff around so that I can support you." So yeah, my day to day is kind of all over the place. Today, I get to do a podcast with you, which is great. And then as soon as we're done, it's the first of the month, so I have a bunch of paperwork I have to finish up. I have to report for accounting. I have to do taxes. I have a bunch of paper receipts that I have to go through, so I got to put this in our system. And then hopefully call it a day at a decent hour.
All right, so I won't take your time. You have to go. I totally understand. Okay,
That's
so
not what I'm
it was
saying.
yeah.
That's not what I wanted you to get out of that.
All right, so I just have two last questions. Right after that, so one of them is that anybody who is starting a digital marketing agency with core focus in Google Ads, Meta Ads, and website, right? These three core services. What should be the roadmap they should follow in 2026 so that they could be profitable in 2027?
Ooh, that's a good question. Uh, Honestly, like I think the number one thing I always tell people is that if you're gonna start a company, make sure that you have experience in that field first, right? Like, I would love to someday, have like a cafe, like start a cafe, just something that I can like get my hands dirty and actually work with. But I don't think I would ever do that until I worked at a cafe for at least like a summer, just to understand how the mechanics of it work. Someone who's starting a digital agency today, it's no longer about just I can run ads, I know how to use Facebook, I should be able to figure it out. There's a lot of complexity in these tools. You need to work at an agency first to understand how they work before you kind of take that leap and do it yourself. Same thing on the website side. With vibe coding, I've seen a lot of people that are kind of like, oh, wow, I was able to put together a website. I think I can start an agency. And they haven't gone out and talked to anybody, right? So what they're failing to realize is that while you've been having this conversation with AI that's telling you, wow, you're so amazing, you're so great, literally like a million other people in your neighborhood are having that same conversation, and they are also thinking like I should start an agency. There's so much noise out there today that if that's the way that you're going to go, you're not going to be profitable. um, if if your main metric is to be profitable, I would say find a place where your existing skill set can bring real value without BSing your clients. Part of the reason we're able to be financially viable is that our clients stay with us for years. When we present a report and we're like, well, you made 12 bucks for every dollar you spent this month. Are you happy with that? Yeah, cool. Okay, let's continue. You do that for 4 years. There's no reason for them to leave you.
Hmm.
Whereas what I'm seeing is a lot of people that are starting marketing agencies because like, oh, I figured out this tool. I'm going to start an agency around it, and then they get their first client, they don't deliver on their promises, and now they're going to have to scramble to get their next client again. So all you're doing is you're just constantly rotating and getting clients. So that's not a way towards profitability. The people that are profitable that I see, they know what they're doing in a very deep way. They're delivering real value that addresses a real pain point, and I don't know what that is. That's where you have to go out, shake hands, talk to people, figure out who in your network has a real problem that you can actually solve, and then make sure you solve it consistently so you're not always chasing after a new client. I think there's nothing sexy about it. There's no like magic formula. It's putting your head down, doing good work, making sure that you bring real value to the table.
All right. So my next question would be a little bit, I would say, controversial. What do you see? Like, is there any future of agencies or not? Because a lot of people are becoming solopreneurs. A lot of billionaires are saying that there will be more billionaires, one person companies, and one person billionaires. And a lot of people will be building their, like, even service business or product business. There will be only one person handling those. What do you see the future of agency model?
I think the future of agency models is going to be going towards a hybrid of humans and AI. I don't want to be a solopreneur. Why would I possibly want to be a solopreneur, right? Because if you think about it, if I were to get rid of my team today, what would my day look like, right? Going back to your previous question, I would
Hmm.
not be sitting here having a calm conversation with you knowing that work is being done in the background. It would be an AI agent that I would probably have to constantly check up on and constantly kind of give instructions to kind of make sure it's on the right track. I would have my head down doing production work all day long. That's not fun. Um, could AI get to the point where it's running so autonomously that nobody needs to stay on top of it? Maybe, but if everybody has access to that agent, it goes back to the idea of, well, it's a race. It's easy to win at that point if everybody else is using a slower vehicle than I am. I don't see a scenario where I don't need management staff. I don't see a scenario where when people are choosing a partner to work with, that they don't want a person on the other side of that conversation, right? One of the things that we're seeing in the B2B space is all of this promise that this and that AI agent is able to have these conversations for you. I don't think that works because me as a business owner, if my first interaction with your brand to start a partnership where I want to think of you as someone that is my go-to for the next 3 or 4 years, if we're starting that relationship off where I'm talking to your robot, you know what? Let me talk to Jim down the street because him and I can shake hands and go for coffee, right? I don't. I think the weak agencies are gonna get culled. I think we're in a recession period, and whenever there's a recession, when you're talking about in economic terms, what happens is it's a culling of the weak, and the strong agencies are gonna be fine. But all of these bad agencies, all the things that I talked about not to do, I think we're gonna go and we're gonna start picking up their clients and eating their lunch. that doesn't make me any smaller. That if anything, that means that I have to increase headcount. I want more account managers having real conversations, building real relationships with our clients to make sure that they stay with us. I want to make sure that we're leveraging AI so that my strategy guys are not doing, BS paperwork, and they're not wasting their time on things that can be automated, and they get to explore new ideas and keep track of what's out there. I, as a solo person, as a solopreneur, I would not have the headspace to do all of those things well. I would rather hire those roles out and continue building my agency. I strongly, strongly believe that an agency is a team sport, and I
Hmm.
think that a team will always beat out an individual.
Wonderful. All right. So with your over decades of experience, what would be that one advice to all the marketeers and freelancers or even agency owners?
Um, I don't know. I don't think I have very good advice. I think I have a lot of like what not to do. Um, I'd say go out and talk to people, honestly. I think the thing that when I reflect back on what I've done wrong in the last little while, the advice I would give myself if I went back 5 years, right, would be like, trust your team, let them make those mistakes, let them learn, let them figure it out, like guide them, teach them, but let them do it. And your job is to go out and talk to people, make those connections, shake some hands, talk to real customers, find out the real problems, talk to real partners, make those human connections, and make sure that you're just supporting your team so that when they make a mistake, it's not catastrophic. When they make a mistake, that they learn and they grow, and focus on making sure that you're having those real relationships with people, because that's what's important. That's what's to carry you through. I would also say don't over rely on these AI tools. I do think that there's a lot of power in the way in what they're able to automate, but don't use it as a crutch, because all of the agencies that use AI as a crutch, I think those are the ones going to be easy targets for bigger agencies that kind of bring something that's more valuable than just we also know how to use this tool.
Wonderful. Thank you so much, Sheldon, for giving us time and explaining and sharing insightful discussions we had. For all of the people watching, please do follow Sheldon on LinkedIn. I will definitely share his LinkedIn in the description. And do subscribe to our YouTube channel. And if you found value in this, just share this with your friends so that anybody who you are sharing with could learn anything from this. Thank you so much, Sheldon, for giving us time.
Yeah, it's my pleasure. This was a lot of fun.